The Air Force deliberately deceived him and even broke into his house to make him believe that there was going to be an imminent alien invasion.
What?
They are deliberately not saying what they know and saying things that are patently untrue. In this report that Congress directed, that is active disinformation. They don't want the public to know that there really is a crash retrieval program and that we are monitoring UAP in our airspace and water space. They are deliberately falsifying it and exploiting people, making them appear as wackos.
Curious on your thoughts to the UFO whistleblower series that we did, I think it was right about a year ago.
Right. That was a really compelling series. So I've been in this UAP topic for a little over about 2 years. And I initially, like Michael Herrera, the Marine, where he saw paramilitary forces from some agency, and that whole story, originally I would have dismissed that as can't be. Our government doesn't do that. But the more I'm learning and that's coming out, and I could talk about some examples, I wouldn't be surprised if there was credibility to that. Because, for example, there's a book out there by a guy named Greg Bishop called Project Beta. Have you ever heard of it?
I haven't.
This is a really good book for right now. It's a
Project Beta.
Project Beta, and it's the subtitle is something like the story of Paul Benowitz and the evolution of the modern UFO myth. And what it's about is a civilian physicist who was on contract to work at for the Air Force, I believe. And ultimately, he was one of these people who was a civilian researcher in the UAP in the New Mexico area where that's a hot spot. And the Air Force deliberately deceived him and exploited him and even broke into his house to make him believe that there was going to be an imminent alien invasion. And he basically nearly went crazy. And the Air Force did that deliberately. And
what?
Yeah, yes. The book is really good to read, too. You can read it like in a day. It's all happened. The main perpetrator in the Air Force is a guy named Richard Doty. He's quite well known in the UAP circles. And that's what he did. And I can see that happening right now. And we could talk about this later, but you know this DoD UFO office called AARO? Mm-hmm. So they recently released a report.
Real quick, what does AARO stand for again?
All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. And their report was looking at the historical kind of story of U.S. government's UAP involvement. Congress directed them to do this report, and they basically didn't do their job. It was a lot of errors. They missed a lot. And one of the prominent UAP authorities on national security, Chris Mellon, wrote a scathing expose, if you will, on all the errors in the report and how they didn't meet the congressional mandate. And when you read that, and you can tell they're obviously obfuscating. They are deliberately not saying what they know and saying things that are patently untrue in this report that Congress directed. And so Chris wrote a great article in the debrief about it and all the flaws. And when you put that together and look at that, you can just see that is active disinformation. They're not acknowledging what they know, and they're actually putting out false information.
Why are they putting out false information?
So this is really it makes sense if you worked in the government at a high level like me. The executive branch. The National Security Council, upon direction from the president, and the Department of Defense and the intelligence community, the Office of Director of National Intelligence, they're the ones who could have the say. Should we disclose or not? And the AARO is just doing their bidding because that executive branch, those bodies, they set the policy of the administration. I saw this in my job under Secretary of Commerce. The Trump administration wanted to do certain things, and we did those things. We actually did a lot of good, and I could talk about that the press never gave us credit for. But that's how it flows. And this administration doesn't want to do that. So AARO is just the mouthpiece. It's the policy at the top level of the executive branch that directs whether they want to disclose or not. Now, it makes a lot of sense because, UFO people want to see it. But if you were Biden, would you want to tell the American public, hey, I can't keep our airspace safe. It's being visited by entities whose intent I don't understand and I can't control it. Same for our water space. Do you think you want to announce that to the American people? on the verge of the election and say, I'm not doing my job, I can't keep you all safe? I don't think so.
Probably not. But what is the disinformation piece? Why would the Air Force be planting disinformation in researchers' homes?
Well, that was back
believe?
then. I'd be hard pressed to see them do that today. But that's it. They went out of control. They were basically not aligned with the Constitution, and they did that because now they don't say it in the book. The book just talks about the facts, but it's the same thing again that's happening today. They don't want the public to know that there really is a crash retrieval program and that we are monitoring UAP in our airspace and water space, and we can't control their actions, and we don't fully understand their intentions, and that's a dangerous thing to leak to the public, and so they are deliberately falsifying it and exploiting people, making them appear as wackos, thus creating a stigma behind the whole scene, which has prevented serious scientific study. And that's why I've joined Galileo, Americans for Safe Aerospace, and the Soul Foundation to advance the scientific study of the phenomenon.
Interesting. So the disinformation is just to discredit whoever is
that's exactly
getting
it.
into the subject.
That's right. And it's happening overtly today. That office is doing it. And you see it all around the media now. There's just a lot of, there are individuals who I will not name who I believe are getting paid, but every day they get out online and they're well known in this UAP community, and their number one job is to discredit these national authorities, these people like Lou Elizondo, who was with the task force, the UAP task force. I've met and trust and know, and he is 100% who he says he is, and what he says he's seen and knows, I have total confidence in. People like him, he's an active target of people discrediting him and others too.
Interesting. Is there anybody I should be looking out for?
Gosh, I don't study this like other people do. Some people they really spend a lot of time on this. Yeah,
I'll ask you
I'm just not
offline.
going to name names because I don't know. I don't want to do that. Yeah.
I understand. I'll ask you offline. Let's get into the Galileo project.
Yeah.
That sounds fascinating. How did you get involved in that?
Well, again, I had left the government, and so the background is this. One of my jobs in the Navy is I was the superintendent of the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C. So it's known for two things. It's where the vice president lives. He lives in the house of the former superintendent. So I didn't get that house when I came in. The vice president was there. But also it's this unit that has historically been mapping the stars for the U.S. for the purpose of navigation. Ships of the age of sail, our original ships, the 6 frigates, they navigated using celestial navigation, and that's how evolved to modern day star mapping, which is used for satellite navigation. So consider this: if GPS tells you where it is, or you are, how does GPS know where it is, the constellation? They reference themselves to the stars in our galaxy that are relatively fixed because they're so far away. So that you create something called a celestial reference frame, and that is the coordinate system that satellites navigate off of precisely, and then therefore could tell you where you are. So we updated all the star positions. The universe is expanding, so we'd have to make new catalogs every so often. That's the observatory. Bottom line is that I got to know a lot of astrophysicists, and I learned a lot of cosmology, and I realized the universe is so giant, we'd be arrogant to think that we're the only species that's evolved to travel between celestial bodies. And so, we have 100 to 400 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy, and there are over 100 billion galaxies in the observable universe. That's just crazy. So I was open to that, and then when I left the government, I decided I'll join Galileo, because Galileo, under Avi Loeb at Harvard, he is developing a network of observatories, telescopes, and other sensors to look for UAP in the near-Earth atmosphere.
We talk a lot on this show about protecting your family and being prepared for the worst case scenario. But there's one area of protection that a lot of us, myself included, for a long time tend to procrastinate on, and that's life insurance. I've had term life insurance for several years now, and I remember the exact moment I realized I needed it. It was right around the time my son was born. I started thinking about the mortgage, the kid's education, and all the expenses I'd want covered if the unthinkable happens and I'm not here to provide for them anymore. But having a plan in place is what actually allows you to breathe easier. If you've been putting this off because you think it's too expensive or too much of a hassle, you need to check out Fabric by Gerber Life. Fabric by Gerber Life is term life insurance you can get done today, made for busy parents like you, all online, on your schedule, right from your couch. You could be covered in under 10 minutes with no health exam required. A lot of people assume their work-life insurance is enough, but most policies don't provide nearly enough coverage and don't follow you if you leave your job. Fabric offers affordable, high-quality life insurance like $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day. Fabric is partnered with Gerber Life, trusted by families just like yours for over 50 years. And Fabric is rated excellent on Trustpilot with over 1,900 five-star reviews. There's no risk, you get a 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can cancel at any time. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their family. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/srclips. That's meetfabric.com/srclips. meetfabric.com/srclips. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions.
And so he's published on several books on this topic, and I love the way he thinks. Total scientific approach, and being an astronomer and understanding the scales that I just talked about in terms of space and time, 14 billion year old universe, you have to think, okay, in the Earth, we have evolved. We're pretty new on the scene. The Earth's been around for like 4 billion years, and we've only been humans on the scene for not even 1 million. And so we occupy this sliver of time in the whole scale of the Earth and the universe. And look how fast we've advanced in technology in the even tinier part of the last 100 years. So why couldn't an advanced technological civilization that evolved to go way past us and then maybe even died off millions of years ago somewhere else? So he's on this search to either find active UAP or the remnants of another technological civilization. When you think about those scales and the fact that, okay, there's life on this Earth, so we know that life can evolve on a planet. It's just myopic to think, why wouldn't it happen somewhere else in this giant universe?
Yeah. You had mentioned just a minute ago that the universe is expanding. And I've been watching things on this, but how do we know it's expanding?
Well, I won't go into the details here, but astronomers can see it in different signatures. I believe Edwin Hubble, I think, was the first astronomer to find evidence of that. And it's based on, it's not necessarily I think it's the thing they call redshift, where a certain spectrum of electromagnetic energy out in the universe has a feature to it like a Doppler shift. When you know a train's going by or you're going fast by something that and you hear that change in frequency, I believe it's something like that. Don't quote me. I haven't done astronomy for a long time, but astronomers have been able to prove it conclusively.
What do you think it's expanding into? Right.
That's exactly it. And where'd it come from? There's this Big Bang that happened 14.6 billion years ago. Nobody knows what happened before that or what was there.
I mean, what does that mean? Does it mean that...
Is it creating space?
Is there a wall?
Yeah, is there an end?
What's on the other side of it?
I don't know. Exactly. And that's why when you think about that weirdness, then you start appreciating that other weirdness could be too, because again, we've only reached our understanding of modern physics in the last 100 years. What if we evolve and live and don't kill ourselves for another 1,000 or million years? What is the state of technology going to be like then? And that's why when we talk about where these things coming from, it could be anything. It could be from other dimensions that we just haven't learned the physics about, or again from another part of the universe that we say, okay, we can't travel that far, that fast, based on the known laws of physics and the speed of light. But maybe we'll invent that and discover those physics sometime in the future.
Wow. No matter where you're watching the Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this at all, anything, please like, comment, and subscribe. And most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, head to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and leave us a review.